Hello and welcome back to the 33rd episode of the Tower Sports Advising Podcast. Today we're going to dive into the field of 64 for Division 1, 2, and 3 for playoff baseball in college. Obviously, D1's not set right now, finishing up their season. I know Pee Wee and I have talked about before this, the Ivy is the only one that has started theirs, correct?
Believe the Ivy League is this coming weekend. I'm not sure about the Patriot. The Patriots usually on a weird schedule as well. They're usually one of the earlier Division One conferences that finish up for the auto bid.
Because they
So
pretty much, follow the Ivy as well.
essentially the kind of the same schedule. So I'm not sure. I believe that you'll see the Patriot probably this weekend as well.
And then obviously Division 2 and Division 3 are set. So we'll start by diving into what Division 1 baseball has as their field of 64 as of May 12th, which would be Tuesday. 12 SEC, 9 ACC, 7 Big 12, 5 Big 10, 3 Conference of USA, 3 Sun Belt, and 2 American. So first regional would be UCLA would be the 1 seed, Miami would be the 2, Kent State would be the 3, and San Diego State would be the 4. I mean, I think the front runner there, and everyone's rooting for UCLA there.
I mean, yeah, have you seen I don't know if they got to that 30-game win streak, but Rock Chalosky seems like outside of Skeens, but he seems like the most no doubt first pick in a while. So UCLA, if you watch them play baseball, they were in the College World Series last year, brought back a lot of the same kids, and they're just doing it. It's one of those teams that you probably looked at preseason and was like, yep, Rock's back. A lot of the guys are back. They got good arms and they play good baseball. They're probably a no doubt slam dunk pick to go to Omaha this year.
Next one is the Oregon at 1, Arkansas at 2, Gonzaga at 3, Wright State at 4. I think one there is like Arkansas always ends up being sneaky when they get into the playoffs. Like I feel like a lot of the time it doesn't really matter if they're a 1 or 2, 3, or 4 seed. So that
Yeah,
one,
and I think Gonzaga is a sneaky pick. I learned this when I was at Yale. The WAC, which is the Western Athletic Conference, which kind of is becoming the Pac-12 and the whole nonsense, but they get arms, and it's shocking to see because everyone knows Gonzaga and Mark Few is a basketball school, but if you look at the arms that they get some shutout arms, and everyone knows when it comes to regionals, runs are hard to get. So if you can punch a few across, and it's going to be hard against a Dave Van Horn Arkansas team, but if you can punch a couple runs across and the ball rolls your way, it's hard to come back from these deficits when you got lights out arms. So, and Wright State too. Everybody remembers the Drew Gilbert home run, but they had Tennessee not too long ago. So they ain't no chump change when it comes to a regional. And everybody knows that a 4 seed will make a run eventually. It's just who is it?
right? I think Wright State too. Is that the one that after they made the little run that they had, they got like all new fields
Yep.
and complex
When their
and
head
new.
coach got a big contract extension.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I think that alone right there is something to talk about too. It's like, yes, as we'll call it a smaller school, right? Because I'm assuming still the enrollment there is pretty large and significant compared to some D2s, D3s, right? But like how much one run, and that's not even winning a regional, right? That maybe just making it to a final of a regional changes the forefront of what your program is allowed to do. Like who wants to donate, who wants to up a coach's salary, who wants to put a new field in, does athletics want to invest more into the baseball program? Like there's a lot of things that go into it, and people are like, oh, it's Wright State. Like you said, they had Tennessee not too long ago, so it's how much better can they get as a program just by making a little bit of run in that postseason to benefit their program in the long run? And again, right back into it. Again, this is slated. This isn't guaranteed
I
lock
just
right
want to
now.
touch something real quick. Like you didn't even touch on the point. People want to go there, right? Like people like the new shiny toy, and it's for the schools that are on the cusp right there. And then they get to that super. It's like, oh, I never even thought about that school, but they just were in a super regional and they took Florida to the brink of elimination, right? Like you see it a lot. You see the trends of, hey, this school's really good, that school's really good. Obviously, you have your mainstays as college basketball, say the blue bloods, but when you make that run, you see an uptick in recruiting as well because people are like, I want to play for that coach. Coach just made a run. If we can make a run, maybe if we get a few more key guys in the portal or a bigger recruiting class, we can make a run to that super or maybe that World Series. And it happens all the time. And the funding obviously goes along with it and the security of the coaching job. But you see an uptick of recruiting when you start winning and get that winning that one regional. I don't know if they're on here. I haven't looked, but like you take UTSA, right? When they beat Texas last year, I'm assuming there's probably an uptick in recruiting at UTSA because you're like, oh, we can compete with the Longhorns. I'd probably want to go to that school.
Right, but for them too, right? It's compete with the Longhorns, compete with A&M, I compete with Texas Tech, Dallas
TCU.
Baptist, TCU, right? Like it's cool, especially when you look at the larger states and the smaller schools that are in those states. Like you just have with UTSA, they're not smaller by any means. They play in the same division as they would. It's just the recruits and the athletic facilities and all those things change once your name becomes more prominent in essentially the field of 64.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next one's Atlanta, Georgia Tech at 1, Tennessee at 2, Tarleton at 3, Bethune-Cookman at 4.
I love Tech. Just watching them play is so fun, and their all-time winningest coach had his last regional last year, and the passing of the torch. And I don't know the head coach's name, but whoever his name is took over and has just ran with it. You got two probably top 5 picks, top 10 picks with you got Drew Burris and Von Lackey. Like if you watch Von Lackey play, it is so much fun. It seems like he has a defensive highlight reel every single weekend. And they run and they play fast, and their pitching has improved. So you could easily see them just moving on to Omaha and just absolutely annihilating every pitcher they face because at one point in time they were hitting over 400 team.
Lackey's their catcher, correct? So, like, the cool part with me with looking at Lackey now is like, we finally got back to the world of, like, defensive catchers are cool. Yes, don't get me wrong, the kid can smash, right? Like, there is that aspect of it, but it's almost like you look at him, for example, and everything that's highlighted on him is, like, defensive, which is cool from our time because you'll tell recruits nowadays, like, and there's still Division I coaches that recruit like this, right? Like, you can hit a buck and you're gonna have a job at the end of the day if you're the best catcher on that staff, right? So it goes back to it, but it's like, all right, that guy's at Georgia Tech because he can hit as well, right? Like that's the bonus. You'll look at a guy maybe at a lower school, right? And that guy might be hitting 170 on the year, but he's played all 62 games or whatever it is because he's the best defensive option they have. But I think with him, it's cool because every time I scroll through Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and they see a highlight of him, it's like two catching highlights and then he hits a homer or something like that. So I just wanted to touch on that a little
And
bit.
I think it started last year for me with Cam Bodine. He won the first round. He was in the no got traded to the Orioles. Shane Baz deal. He was before they implemented the auto strike zone for the bigs, but like he was stealing pitches at a rate no one's seen since like Posey, right? And he kind of put it back on the map that it was cool. And then he was a first rounder, and then they followed it up this year. Georgia Tech, obviously Bodine played at Coastal, but Von Lackey is the new hot defensive catcher who he's gonna save your pitcher's runs and he's gonna throw some guys out while doing it. He's still gonna hit your 330 with 10 jacks, but most of his money is made behind the dish. So it's cool to see that we're back to the go back there and wear 9 innings and then want to go do it again because your pitchers love you.
Next one is the Kansas Regional. It will be Kansas at 1, Nebraska at 2, Missouri State at 3, and then SIU Edwardsville at 4.
Another basketball school, right? Like it's kind of cool to see Kansas. And I saw Baseball America post a lot of stuff about who should be what in the next job and people getting fired and stuff like that. But like they're talking about Kansas's head coach making the move to the SEC. So when you're in that talks, you're obviously doing a pretty good job. And Nebraska's been up there as well. They've had some tough luck, but they're just as good. And I'm not too in depth with the Missouri States or the SIU Edwardsville, but it's a fun place. And obviously they get the support because of Bill Self in the basketball program. So it's a lot easier, I would say, to be a school that they already have an elite program somewhere else because there's not much pressure. And I'm not saying there's not pressure to win, but you're not forced to win. Like you take the Alabamas of football or the Dukes of basketball, right? If they start losing, the world's over. But when you're that second tier sport where it's not, you're not the elite sport, you can kind of kick back and be like, hey, we could just play our game. And hosting a regional in Lawrence, Kansas, I feel like hasn't happened in a while. And if it was for basketball for the last 35.
Well, obviously Texas fan, right? Like I was joking with you. I feel like not that long ago, like you look at Texas sports, right? And again, I love Texas football. Texas baseball is currently ranked 4, I believe. And then it's like women's golf, men's golf, rowing, men's and women's tennis, and then there's like another sports, and all of them at one point during the season were in the top 5. So it's like you take Kansas, who's huge basketball, right? And again, Texas is just as big basketball too, not in that aspect of recruits and in the story behind it, right? But a lot of it goes to the fact of like Texas basketball isn't their core right now. There's so many sports that are in the core of Texas, essentially Longhorn sports altogether. So it's like you make a good point on how Kansas, like if Kansas basketball was not good this year, right, people would be up in arms. But then if Kansas baseball made this like crazy run, they'd be like, oh, well, Kansas baseball is probably pretty good. We can watch that too, right? And it kind of talks about, which I feel like a lot of people don't talk about, is the second tier sports where it's like, oh, I'm going to Kansas, right? Like that's cool. But like you're going to Kansas to play basketball. It's not as cool as saying, hey, I went to play baseball. In your mind, it is, right? But like the people that are watching on TV, they get to watch every single Kansas basketball game. How many Kansas baseball games are posted online? You don't know.
Probably not a lot.
Online, sorry, they're all online, right?
Yeah.
But they're not on the TV like
They're
they
not
are
on national television when
right.
you're watching Kansas on Monday night tip off, right? At 7 p.m. Right. Like it's just the lay of the land, but some of these schools are just like you said, second tier schools. And it's not a knock on them. It's just they're so much more elite at other sports in their programs.
I do want to make the point they are still very good. Like
Yes.
don't sit here and act like we're just brushing them off. Like they are very, very good,
To
right?
host
But
a
it's like
regional is
right,
impressive.
absolutely. But it's just the stigma of college basketball and college football, right? Like a lot of people don't understand like that will always be the upper echelon. They're always on TV, they're always treated differently, and that's just how it is, right? So when we talk about these things, it's not we're not siding with somebody, right? We're just saying it's different compared to college football and college basketball. Even you can throw women's basketball in there, right? A lot of these schools too. Like they're treated probably better than the baseball program. And a lot of kids that are recruits don't really know that. And it's just because of basketball, football, everything else. Athens, Georgia regional is Georgia at 1, Jacksonville State at 2, TCU at 3, Fairleigh Dickinson at 4.
I mean, I'll let you touch on this one, but Georgia football, Kirby Smart, Georgia baseball being the 3 seed, that's big news, right? And I know they had Condon, what was it, last year or 2 years ago when the Golden Spikes and the whole 9 yards, but you really didn't hear about Georgia baseball much. And now they're the 3 seed. And
No,
the
they're the
state
1
of
seed.
Georgia, what was that?
They're the 1 seed.
Well, I'm sorry, the national 3 seed, my apologies.
Correct. Sorry. My bad.
Yeah, they're the 1 seed hosting, but the national 3 seed, right? Like we were talking about it yesterday. He used their head coach is Jay Johnson's right hand man at LSU, and now he's bringing what he brought from LSU to Georgia, right? It's cool to see that small transformation. Georgia was kind of getting beat up over the last few years, and then they make the right coaching hire and it flips the script, and now they're the number 3 national team pushing for an SEC title, and potentially it's going to be hard to uproot UCLA as the national 1 seed, but they have a shot at the 1 seed, which you never really see. You haven't seen in the last few years. And I think the big one that pops off the table for me is Jacksonville State being a 2 seed. Usually you see them as a 3 or 4 seed, but I'll let you touch on that.
I mean, the thing I want to highlight there, right? And this is no knock against Fairleigh Dickinson, but like when I played college baseball, Fairleigh Dickinson was at like the bottom of the realm. I think there was 1 or 2 years when I was playing college baseball that they were either close to not even winning a game or like had less than 5 wins. And like I don't personally know their head coach, but like just to see the change and the shift of me moving out of baseball to coaching baseball to where we are now, like it pretty much seems like he's put them in a good spot to compete every day. So I think for a guy like that, right? Like that's all you can ask for. Like you made a regional. If you look 10 years ago, what does that program look like? It looks nothing like it looks now. I mean, for me, like TCU being a 3 seed, who knows, right? Like a lot of these things I don't think matter unless you're at the top of the top, right? Like you talk about the Georgias, the Tennessees, like even Tennessee's, right? They're a 2 seed,
Yeah,
but
that's
they're
probably the
playing
first time they haven't hosted in
right, but they're playing
a long
Georgia
time.
Tech.
Yeah,
Like that's the top of the top right now. UCLA, all those schools. So I think that's the cool part about playoff baseball. It doesn't matter who you are, right?
and
And
I
it's
think
like
another cool thing, like we're going to talk about it a lot, is how impactful a coaching change is to some of these programs. And you touched on it with Fairleigh Dickinson, like you were saying, they weren't really good, and now they're competing for a regional, right? Like, was that even in the realm of possibilities 8, 10 years ago? You know what I mean? And it's just as important as recruiting kids as it is getting the right person in the right position. And I don't think that's talked enough in the recruiting world is if the coach is in the wrong position and you're not winning games, it's the coach's problem. And he needs to figure it out, or he's going to find his butt on the street and they're going to be looking for someone else. And that's how people lose jobs, is because they don't hire the right people. They don't bring in the right people to help their coaching staff achieve what they want to achieve on that first day of talking about, hey, this is where I see our team in 4 or 5 years.
I think a great point you made off of that, and I won't make this too long, but it's like I think we're in the world finally of we're seeing coaches get hired at the higher level that are benefiting the kids that they currently are trying to form into a team, right? And what I mean by that is like take Fairleigh Dickinson, right? They were terrible. And that doesn't mean like they didn't have good players, right? That might have been they weren't a good team together or they didn't have key pieces that they have now that they had before. And again, portal could have helped them, right? Guys coming up and down, guys leaving, guys going elsewhere. But I think a lot of that has to do with the coaching staff, right? And I joke about it all the time with a lot of people, but you can usually tell within the first year to 2 years if that coach is worth staying in that program. And it's not by wins and losses, right? It's by did they get better stats wise on as a team? And does the vibe of the coaching staff and players that spreads outside of the program benefit what he's trying to do on the field? And what I mean by that is the talk of the town, is he a good coach or is he not a good coach? Because if the players are leaving and you look at, hey, there's 8 guys in the portal this year, there's 10 guys in the portal next year, that's probably not someone you want to keep around your program. And now, right, they're on the rise. So it's nice to see whoever I don't know his name off the top of my head, but whoever they brought in is clearly has a stigma in that program that's continuing what they're trying to do or what they started 10 years ago and have finally found the way to build.
And the cool thing you'll see is a lot of, because Fairleigh Dickinson's New Jersey, correct?
Yes.
There's a lot of good baseball in New Jersey. So when you start winning locally, and you'll see it over the next few years, if they make it regional and make a little bit of run, I'd like to see how many New Jersey kids stay home instead of going down south, because you see it all the time of the really high talented New Jersey kids end up in the SEC.
Fairleigh Dickinson is New Jersey's largest private university.
Yeah. So I'd love to see what it is a couple years down the line if they do end up running the table, winning their conference, making some noise in the regional, and see what recruiting is like after the fact, because you'll probably see an uptick of New Jersey kids staying home and playing for Fairleigh Dickinson.
Next one's the other Oregon one. It's Oregon State at 1, Ole Miss at 2, Arizona State at 3, Niagara at 4.
That's going to be a bloodbath. Just flat
Yeah.
out.
I mean,
Niagara
those
is
1 through go ahead.
MAC, correct? They have them winning the MAC, if I'm not mistaken.
What is
I'm pretty sure they're in the MAC, but that's going to be a bloodbath because they also rake. So,
they are in the MAC, correct?
yeah. So they have them winning the MAC, and Oregon State rakes. Dax Whitney, I don't know if you saw his having Tommy John. So that's a hit. He's their ace who's going to be the projected #1 pick next year. Still probably will be. That's a ding for Oregon State. But Oregon State rakes, Ole Miss rakes, Arizona State rakes, and Niagara rakes. So I'm going to guess there's going to be a lot of crooked numbers put into that regional. And cool
I
thing is,
mean,
I
I'm
think we
not gonna
touched on
cut
it
you.
before. Is Oregon State still independent?
Yeah, I believe they have to join a conference or have to pursue a conference after this year.
That makes sense. So pretty cool that they're the 14 seed and they're an independent.
Absolutely. Just to go off the MAC a little bit, Ryder is 19-8, Niagara is in second at 19-9, Fairfield's 18-9, Merrimack is 17-10, Marist is 17-13, and Canisius is 15-3, and Quinnipiac is 14-13. Sorry, Canisius is 15-13. Sorry, so it's real tight there. I
Yeah,
mean, the predicted, all right, they're predicting Niagara to finish it out, but like as much as we talk of a bloodbath, that whole thing is going to be it might be the bloodbath of who's going to even win the match.
that's why I love regional or conference tournament baseball because you finally round up all the guys into one area and it's just have at it for 5 days and we'll see you next week.
The Auburn regional is Auburn at 1, UCF at 2, Michigan at 3, North Florida at 4.
Another SEC team. And we talk about it all the time. I think UCF's now in the Big 12, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, and then Michigan's Michigan. Another one. Michigan baseball was a couple outs away from beating Vandy, right? Like in that World Series a few years ago. So but when you think about it, what do you think about? You think about Michigan football, and then you think about the Fab Five, right? And they just came off a national title in basketball. So another school that it's not at the forefront of winning. If they win, that's a plus, right? Like that's awesome that, hey, baseball is making another regional. But hey, is Bryce Underwood worth his $8 million he's getting, right? Like that's the things or is Dusty May going to roll out another all transfer lineup? Like that's why when we talk about these things, it's just the top of the top. Baseball is not a second tier sport, but to some of these schools, it doesn't matter. And I'm
To
not
most of
saying
these
it as a bad
but
thing.
to most,
Yeah. So like the SEC, it's life or death. But for some of these other schools, like I'm not saying Michigan doesn't care about baseball. They obviously do. They invest in their program, but they care more about if Bryce Underwood throws 28 of 30 and beats Ohio State in the game, right? Or hey, do we have a shot at making the college football playoff? Or hey, are we going to win a national title in basketball again? Like that's the apples to apples that we got to compare. It's funny to see because then you have Auburn, who hasn't been really good in football, and it's not a good thing. I'm assuming alumni aren't happy, but then you come and Auburn baseball is up in the upper echelon. They're the fourth national seed projected. They're going to host again, and they're really good. So it's just funny to see how it works at the Division One level because we're going to end up touching on the D2, D3. So
I mean, that point there, though, right? The D2, D3, some of these schools are known for baseball. Like that's their sport, right? Next one is Morgantown, West Virginia. So West Virginia at 1, Coastal at 2, Virginia Tech at 3, Bucknell at 4.
a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And
that'll
so
be a
they have Bucknell winning the Patriot, which is interesting to see because they are a good school. But if I'm not mistaken, Army has won the Patriot a lot the last couple years. No, if I'm not mistaken.
I would say so. I'm not 100% on that one.
But
Let's look.
Coastal is going to be fine. I think it all comes down to is Fluky healthy
Here's
because
another one, right? If you look at the Patriot League, Army is 17-9, and the Patriot Bucknell is 17-9, Navy is 16-10. So it's whoever there, right?
yeah, and I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, Army's had a extensive history the last few years of winning it and making some noise in some regionals. But Virginia Tech too, ACC team, like they're obviously well tested, and that's going to be fun because West Virginia also mashes and Morgantown shows up. Like they care about baseball. If you look, like majority of their games are sold out. But I could see Coastal going in there, shellacking everyone. Fluky comes out, throws a gem game one, and life's fine. And they go back to a super, and then you could see them in Omaha because they were, if I'm not mistaken, they were the preseason number one, or they were preseason number two. And some injuries have happened, but I could see them easily steamrolling this regional.
UNC Chapel Hill is the next one. So North Carolina, UC Santa Barbara, Liberty.
So interesting. If I'm looking correctly, they got Liberty as an at-large.
Yes, because I would believe the Stars are the win
Yeah,
the conference.
which is cool. This is a fun conference. UNC is awesome. Obviously, they're really, really talented, churning out baseball player after baseball player. But UC Santa Barbara, they got that dude out there that is competing, they said, with Fluky to be the first college arm off the board.
I feel like they have sneaky guys every year.
Every year. And I feel like it's the under recruited guys that they get and they develop, right? Like that's one of the programs where you have the Cal Berkeleys, you have the UCLA, the USC, those type of schools that everybody wants to go to when they grow up as a kid in California. But UC Santa Barbara, it's the same thing with UC Irvine and those schools is they just find guys. And you could easily see them spinning a couple gems and they're moving on to a super, right? And Campbell, can't leave out Campbell. For how long we've been in the college baseball game or just watching it, Campbell's always been good. So they will make some noise. So that's another fun regional, I think. But you could see UC Santa Barbara just, like I said, spinning a couple gems and they're finding their way into a super regional.
Next one is Starkville, which is Mississippi State at 1, Oklahoma State at 2, NC State at 3, and then Southeastern Louisiana, which is LSU, right?
No, I don't think so.
What is Southeast? Am I wrong?
Because LSU is Louisiana State University, and they have them winning the division.
Right. Yeah.
I
Southeastern. It's a D1. It's a D1 school. The Lions and the Lady Lions. The Southland Conference.
Okay. I'll let you take this one. You know what it's like to play in Starkville. So
yeah,
you know what home field.
That's the only thing
like.
I'm gonna say about this one right here because I obviously hadn't played at any of the other ones. But like opening day for Mississippi State was my junior year of college, and they treated it like it was the College World Series. Like that place was mayhem. Like,
yeah.
And like we go back to the stories and like just random people are like talking about college baseball. We'll talk about like when I played or when you played or whatever, right? Or even when whoever I'm talking to played. And I'm like, I'll never forget where our left fielder went up to try to rob a home run. And at Mississippi State used to be at a grill in the outfield. Like if you were a season ticket holder or whatever, it was like kind of one of the only like real college type town feels. And our left fielder went up to rob a home run and got crawfish thrown at him from the crowd. And it was like crazy to think about. And it's like an awesome story to tell. But like think about going to rob a home run and you got crawfish thrown at you. And it wasn't even thrown. Like somebody just like threw it up in the air because they hit a home run. But it was like it's just a cool story to tell. But that place is madness.
Yeah. Oklahoma State does rake as well. So you'll see. It's funny to say, like a lot of teams do hit well, but playoff baseball, if you don't come in hot, you go home early. So if you don't see a lot of teams get hot, if they don't have the pitching to back it up, they're going home after 2 games. Or if they're lucky to play that third game because they're in the 1-on-1 thing. So you got to come out hot in these regionals. And if you don't, like we saw it last year, right, with Texas, they were the 2 seed. They were 2 nationals this first year. And what they do, they laid an egg. So it's hard to play this. For those people listening who are recruits, it's hard to play 60-plus games. And that's why they always say the SEC tournament is usually the national championship because it is so hard to win the SEC tournament. And you're so tired after to then flip the script and then have to travel again and then go play at another place. Like it's not easy. And a lot of these places, I'm pretty sure almost every conference has a host stadium. So it's not like you're playing home games. You have to travel. If you don't get the host, you have to travel. Or the case for the Big East, it's in Creighton. So you have to go travel, right? Or I think it's the Big Ten. Sorry. One of the conference tournaments, you have to go travel. Like if you're on the East Coast, you got to go travel to the West Coast and then try to win the thing and then come back and then gather yourself, practice, and then go to another regional. Like it's not easy for these guys.
Think about a couple rainouts, right? Like a couple rainouts might lead to we're staying wherever this is, trying to win this and heading right to a super because they're not postponing a super. The only way they're pushing back a super is if you traveled from the regional and that's getting rained out, then you're still already there, though. And then, all right, then you go to the College World Series.
Yeah.
So
It's
It's
hard.
more of a grind than summer ball if you really think about it for some of these kids, because it's so much travel, right? And you're trying to get your routine into it, and you're trying to do all these things that led you to have that good season, right? And that's why we always talk about and we always emphasize the guys that got hot at the end of the year, they just don't care. The only thing they care about is winning, right?
Mhm.
It's not about my stats. It's not about my draft slot. It's not about all these things that really don't matter. It's just the group of guys that are in that room with the coaching staff and how can we continue to win baseball games.
Mhm.
Next one is Texas. Texas at 1, Boston College at 2, Texas State at 3, Oral Roberts at 4.
Cool thing to see is BC's a 2 seed for us, at least being from Mass. I remember not too long ago, is it Justin Dunn, if I'm not mistaken? Justin Dunn dicing, and they ended up making a super, right? Like that kind of hit an uptick as we talked before. They went this way recruiting because they made a super and everybody wanted to go to BC. And then you start losing,
Well, you
and
had Dunn, you had
their first baseman tattooed baseballs. I forget his name.
you have Sal,
Yeah.
you have Emmett Sheehan.
You have some alums.
Yeah, like you have the trajectory, and I think it's just like I think BC has become back again, right? They not we go back to the one of those schools, right? Like BC baseball wasn't like the top tier. They were the second hand, right? Because of
Yeah.
all the other things that go into it. And I mean, when we played there, their baseball field was absolutely terrible. Like their baseball field was behind their football stadium, and if it rained, it was a swamp. Like, and I mean a swamp. Like we played one game there, midweek game, and your cleats got stuck in the outfield. It was so wet because they would just park cars on it during the football games. Like, think of how crazy that is to say.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was just like it's cool to see though because like not for nothing, like BC's a very good school. It's very hard to get into, right?
Not
And now
easy.
you're right, and now you're bringing in better recruits, better academic standards for your kids. So it's nice to see that incline because I never really think they went this way, right? I think it was just kind of this. I think they
I
leveled
think
off a
their
little.
results went this way. I don't think anything else went down. It was more they just weren't getting the results. And a lot of people scoreboard watch and box score watch. So you could do all the right things. You can bring it like Sal was a first rounder, right? Like Sheehan pitching in the bigs, right? Like Cody Morissette was, I think, a second or third rounder. They had guys. They just weren't winning a ton of baseball games. And that's the thing is it's hard to keep a core group together where people want to keep going to these schools because they scoreboard watch and they play in the ACC. It's not easy to let you guys know. It's not easy to play in the ACC. So their team chemistry could have been awesome. The coaches recruiting them, relaying all the information. They could have had a really, really solid team, but their results weren't there, and people are going to knock them for it. So that's the thing is you got to realize is like we were saying, like they didn't go downhill, but their results were downhill. So everybody thinks the world's over at Boston College. But to touch on this regional, Oral Roberts made a World Series a couple years ago. They're back, right? Like that's cool to see that they invested money into their head coach and invested money into the program. He probably had offers to go somewhere else, and he said, "No, I'm going to stick around and I'm going to build what I want to build." Right? And Texas State, pretty sure they beat Texas this year. No, you would know more than I would because you are a
Uh,
Texas guy. I'm pretty sure they beat
if they
them
did,
midweek.
it was a
I think they blew them
very
out.
close game. No, I think. Hold on, let me pull up baseball. They're the 37-12. That sounds right, right?
37-12, yeah.
Yeah.
49 games.
They lost to Tarleton.
Yep, which we didn't touch on them much.
They beat Texas State 10-8. It was a close game.
Yeah. So it was a close game. But again, Texas should be the favorite, right? Going to Austin,
I mean,
staying
another
home.
one, right? We talk about UTSA, right? Texas only beat them.
Yeah. Like anyone can beat anyone in the state of Texas, and anyone can beat anyone in this in the game of baseball. It's just how it works. But you should see Texas because you're gonna hear some murmurs with Slosh. Obviously he's not getting fired. He's one of the best coaches in baseball, but this is his second season ranked in the top 10. And if he doesn't get out of a regional, start hearing some things because down south at Texas, baseball is one of their major sports. They care about it. So if you're going to hear a lot of things if they go to the regional and say they have a bad SEC tournament and they go 1-2 at their home park again, it's not going to be a good look for Texas.
Horns up. That's all I gotta say. All right, this one's fun for you. Your old coach and your favorite college. Tallahassee is Florida State at 1, USC at 2, Kentucky at 3, Yale at 4.
And my favorite coach. I love Link Jarrett. Well, outside of Jay Johnson, but Link Jarrett's awesome. I love that guy. I think he's a phenomenal head coach. Florida State, they lost their first baseman, who was supposed to be a first rounder. So that one's obviously a hit. And they just play baseball. They just keep doing what they do. And it's the Florida State way. It's the same way Mike Martin was teaching them 40 plus years ago, right? So they're just doing what they're doing. I would love to see Florida State finally win one because it would mean so much to them because football obviously is their big thing, but they care a lot about baseball down there, and they've been so close so many times. So it'd be finally cool to see an alumni win one for the school that he played for many moons ago. And Link Jarrett played in a World Series or two, I believe. So he knows what it's like to be in Omaha. So USC, I'm just happy we finally figured it out because we've had some rough years. And to see them finally be ranked again is awesome. Kentucky's another SEC team. You could see them wipe the floor with everyone, or you could see them just going 0-2 and going home, right? And then the Ivy League tournament's this weekend. So it's before, I'm not sure when you're posting this, but you'll know the results. And Yale ended up sneaking the host. So that's going to be big playing at George Bush Stadium compared to before last weekend. It was going to be at Brown, right? And a little bit of a travel and all that type of stuff. Being able to host, guys, it makes a mighty difference when you can sleep in your own bed, eat the same stuff that you were eating. You could see the same people you were seeing beforehand. And a very underrated thing for conference play and regionals is when you get to stay together as a team, because when you travel and you're in a hotel rooms, you only get 2 people per hotel room. So you don't see the guys all too often compared to, hey, we just won a game. You guys want to go back to our house? We can hang out for a little bit, maybe watch the other game type situation. So you see a lot of team building when it comes to being able to host because you don't have to go get food or you don't have to go back to the hotel. You can just hang out, drive yourself back to your dorm. So I'd love to see Yale win it. I think Coach Ham deserves one. They've been crushing it ever since he got there. So it'd be cool to see, but going to Florida State would not be fun. Playing in Tallahassee, Florida would not be fun. I think this regional is really cool. And again, for the Ivy League, anyone can win it. If you look at the schools that are in it, I'm pretty sure it's Yale, Brown, Columbia, and Penn, I think. And it's going to be a bloodbath. It always is. So it's fun to see those schools end up having a big battle because they don't get talked about.
Next one is Alabama at 1 in Tuscaloosa. Virginia at 2, High Point at 3, St. John's at 4. Another bloodbath.
Yeah. I mean, Rob Vaughn at Bama ever since coming from Maryland, heck of a job, right? Like 7th national seed. Virginia, this is Pollard's first year. So nice to see him doing well after he left Duke, right? It's not hard. It's not easy to leave the school you've been at for a long time and then go to a school that has the history like Virginia. Virginia, like basketball obviously is number one, but baseball is right there. They care a lot about baseball. High Point, what conference is High Point? I don't remember because they tattoo baseballs too. They're going to be a tough 3 seed.
They are in Big South.
Big South, okay. And then you got St. John's, so they got one in the Big East.
They're 15-6 right now and 34-17 overall.
And then you got St. John's one in the Big East. Again, you can't rule out Jim Penders and UConn. You'll see it that UConn potentially will make a run like they always do because it's UConn, right? But St. John's, very good school, not taking anything away from them. But I wouldn't be shocked to see if it flips and it's UConn going to Alabama instead of St. John's.
I mean, that
or
just
Creighton.
makes your point right there. You just named 3 basketball schools.
Yeah. But the Big East is known for basketball.
Right.
Anyone from Pennsylvania up who knows about the Big East, like everybody cares about basketball. It's just how it is.
Next one is Gainesville, Florida 1, Wake 2, Western California 3, St. Joseph's 4.
I feel like that one's an interesting one. Really, you don't hear much about St. Joseph's, or I've never actually heard of Western Carolina. I'm not sure if you have, but that name's never came across what I've seen. But like, because you have the Carolinas is obviously great for baseball, but I've never heard of Western Carolina, and they got them winning the conference. So as a 3 seed, it's pretty good. Uh, Wake is Wake, right? They just churn out big leaguers like they always do, and then Florida's Florida. So we're not shocked that they're hosting because that's just how it is.
They're in the SoCon.
Okay.
So it's them, Wofford, ETSU, Samford.
Yeah, you could last few years you've seen Wofford and Samford, right? You could see them easily winning it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, guys. Like I'm bringing up easily winning it. Like it's not easy to win a conference tournament, but you never know who's going to win one at these mid-major schools because people make runs all the time, and it's just there's obviously heavy favorites, but at any point in time, can a team get hot and end up running the table? It happens all the time.
College Station, Texas A&M 1, Cincinnati 2, UTSA 3, Binghamton 4.
There it is. There's a UTSA, right? Made a super last year, right? And they're right back at it. It's good to see those teams that aren't just 1 year wonders. And College Station ain't easy to play in. They always have a chip on their shoulder because everybody thinks what Slosh did down there is they care so much about it, but they don't. They're such a tight knit group, and they just like playing baseball. Cincinnati, I feel like you really don't hear about them much, so that's cool to see them be a 2 seed and the 24th team in the country. And then you can touch on it more. Binghamton, you've played against them, but I feel like
Let me
you
put
said
it
it.
this
We
way.
talked about it before. It's the America East, so at any point in time, could anyone win that conference?
For people that are in the Northeast know this, but like they got a donation to the school.
Mm-hmm.
They might have the best facilities in that whole regional. And you're talking about Texas A&M baseball. Just that in itself speaks enough of like what Binghamton baseball has become. And when I played, they were good. Don't get me wrong. The field was nice. Facilities are great. It's in the middle of nowhere. If that's where you want to go to school, that's cool. But like now with those facilities and that donation, like there's no reason they shouldn't be in a regional. And they've invested a lot into that program. All
Again,
right.
investing, right? Like it's just like anything in life. If you invest time, money, and assets in the right people, things are going to get figured out eventually because they have to. And Binghamton is an example of that. Like you said, that anonymous donation. Who doesn't? You said the school's in the middle of nowhere, but the facilities are awesome. If you're just a baseball guy, that's all you care about. Why wouldn't you want to go to Binghamton?
Last one is Mississippi. It is Southern Miss at 1, Oklahoma at 2, East Carolina at 3, Indiana State at 4. My
Another fun
goodness.
one. You see
Yeah.
Cliff Godwin as a 3 seed, right? Like Oklahoma's just as good. Southern
And
Miss, I
ECU's
have
making the jump in 28 to the SEC.
so another another thing, but there's a lot of good coaches here, right? And Southern Miss got a personal attachment. One of my former teammates ended up playing there and playing in a regional and the whole 9 yards. But Indiana State, not too long ago, they were penciled in to be a host. So for them to be a 4 seed, it's not an easy 4 seed. And when you guys look at these things and you see these schools, it's like you see the teams, you're like, oh, okay, it's the 1 and 2 seed. 3 and 4 might make some impact. But when you get a regional like this and ECU's your 3 seed when they're used to hosting, and Indiana State not too long ago was a host, this this one's not easy. So at any point in time, could anyone win? And that's the cool thing is some teams just get the regionals of death. And like I said it a few years ago when Wake Forest, Maryland, and UConn were all in the same regional for 2 years in a row. I don't know who let that happen, but only one team can get out, and it was a bloodbath for every single game that was played. So it's cool to see those tough regionals, but it's a tough draw for Southern Miss if this is the way it turns out.
They have East Carolina as one of the last 4 in. So that's even crazier to think about.
Really
Yeah. The last
interesting.
4 in are TCU, Kentucky, East Carolina, and Texas State. First 4 out are Purdue, Louisiana, Mercer, Louisiana Tech. 4 to watch they have is Miami, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Troy, and UAB. All right, that's a wrap for Division 1. Let's head into D2. Obviously, D2 is already picked. So I think what we should do is we should go through it this week, and then we'll talk about next week's pod. We'll talk about and kind of have a little predictions of who we think will take it into the supers.
Sounds good to me.
So Westchester is the 1 seed. East Stroudsburg is the 4, Bloomsburg is the 5. I played at Westchester. I think Westchester, in my opinion, but like East Stroudsburg at the same time is a very good known program.
Well, the funny thing is if you look at that, it's weird how D2 does it. They do 16 regionals, but they're broken up into small regionals. So, like, we're going to talk about the next regional that's technically,
Well, if you look at North Greenville too, right? They have 8.
yeah. So, some, you guys will see some at the D2 level, it's weird. Some regionals are 6, some are 8. It's just the luck of the draw or something like that. But East Stroudsburg was ranked. They were a top 10 team last year. You have, and I'm going to talk about the next regional. You got Millersville and Seton Hill, and then you got Westchester. We talked about it. I forget what podcast, but Pennsylvania baseball is crazy. And I'm going to watch probably a decent amount of these games because half of these schools are in the PSAC anyways. So they all beat the crap out of each other to begin the year. So I would love to see how this one turns out. I'm going to go with the experience with the Millersville for me at least when it comes out to who's going to end up in the World Series. But you could see any one of these teams, and Westchester's already won 2 national titles, so you could see any one of these teams end up making it to the World Series.
So what's your prediction there? Westchester versus Millersville?
Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's easy to pick the
I
one.
really want to say Westchester versus Seton Hill.
Yeah, but it's a bloodbath, and it's all PSAC schools, so it's just funny to see that that's how the cookie crumbles there.
The next one is Pittsburgh State is the 1, Northwest Missouri State is the 4, Augustana is the 5, and Arkansas Tech is the 8 seed.
So, like we just said, a 8-team regional compared to the 6-team regional. So, how does that work? You know what I mean? This is a natural regional compared to the 6-team, where that, as we talked about yesterday, the 1 seed and the 2 seed get essential buys, and they only need to win 2 games to move on to the supers. But this one, you got to win 3. You got to go 3-0. So it's just weird to see how that's how it works. But I'm not familiar with these teams. The only school I've actually heard of is Augustana. I've never heard of Pittsburgh State or the other 2 that you named.
I
So
was going to say I was just going to pick Pittsburgh State because I don't know any of these. And
yeah,
I played Division II baseball.
yeah. We've played it, and we played at the highest level, and we've never heard of any of these schools. So it's cool. It's cool to see that some schools that I haven't come across are making runs.
The other side is Roger State is the 2. What is this school?
Number 3,
No, number 7. Mo State?
I'm going to say Missouri Southern would be my guess.
Is that it? Yeah, Missouri Southern State is the 7. Central Missouri is the 3. Minnesota State is the 6. I'm taking Central Missouri there.
Always.
Yeah.
As we talked about on our top 10, I love the Red Donkey, but if you look at Central Missouri for the last 10 years, they are one of the premier Division two schools in the country.
Now we move into our local guys. Bentley with the 1 seed, Wilmington with the 4, Goldie Beacon with the 5. I'm going to take Bentley. I've been hot on them all year.
I'd love to see, it's not a Cinderella run because they won hats off to them for winning their first NE10 and first regional, right? And their first regional is the 1 seed, and they're hosting. Good for them. I hope they keep it going, and I'd love to see them in the World Series. So, and you can touch on the next schools. I know where we're both going with it. So I'd love to see a rematch of the NE10 championship being SNU and Bentley.
Number
to see
2,
who goes
right.
for the World
Number
Series.
2 is Malloy. Number 3 is Southern, and number 6 is Felician. I'm taking SNU 10 times.
And again, Felician went to the World Series last year, so they could be a wild card, but they were the team from the East who represented the East last year. So, but I'd love to see Bentley play SNU, and you guys will see where it comes for the D2. A lot of the same schools are in the same conferences, and they end up playing each other. So usually, if you're already in the NE10 tournament, just for an example, and just like the PSAC, yes, you want to win it, but it's more of like a who's going to play what card, because then you get to see these people a week before things that actually matter, meaning the regional.
Next one is Grand Valley State, Kentucky Wesleyan, Missouri S&T, and Davenport. I've heard of Davenport. I haven't heard of the other.
Where are you? Trying to.
Bottom left.
Whoops, I skipped one. Yeah, another couple of schools that I actually never heard of before. So a lot of cool logos, but
yeah, I'm gonna take Grand Valley State. I don't know any of those.
Yeah, I haven't heard of many of the other schools.
The 2 seed is Illinois Springfield. The 7 seed is UIndy. 3 is Wayne State, which is in Missouri or Michigan, sorry. And then what's the last
Missouri,
one? Missouri,
St. Louis.
St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of UND, and I've known they're pretty good, so I could see them making an upset run. But it's weird how it works in the D2. It's a lot of schools I've just never really heard of before. It's like you take your Angelo States, your Tampas, your Colorado Mesas, and all that. Like those are your schools that you hear of. But unless you're kind of in that area or that bubble of where you are, you kind of really haven't heard a lot of these schools. So UIndy's really the only one that I've heard of, so I'm going to roll with them.
Rolling with UIndy. I'm going to take the 2 seed of Illinois Springfield.
It's a good bet, probably.
Next one is West Florida is 1, Delta State is 4, Lee is 5, and this one is Edward Waters. I played with a bunch of Delta State kids in summer ball, so I'm going to take Delta State, even though I think West Florida is going to win that one, but that's just me.
Yeah, if you're going to uproot Tampa as the 1 seed, you got to roll with them because it's Tampa. So I'll roll with West Florida.
Next side of that is Tampa at 2, Trevecca and Nazarene at 7, Rollins at 3, and then West Alabama at 6.
You guys got to learn with the schools down south at D2. They love beating the crap out of each other, but it's going to be Tampa. You're probably safe taking them.
I'm taking Tampa.
You could see Rollins making a run. You could see West Alabama and then the other school you named, but Tampa's Tampa. So you'll probably see them in the World Series again because it's just death taxes and Tampa going to the World Series.
Next one is Colorado Mesa, St. Mary's, Texas, Lubbock Christian. Is that how you say that?
Yes.
Lubbock Christian.
Mesa gets a bye, so all they need is 2 wins. So we're gonna stick with them, and they're playing in their home ballpark.
This one's interesting to me. On the other side of that bracket is UT Tyler, Angelo State, and MSU Denver. Like Angelo State or UT Tyler could easily win.
Cool thing about UT Tyler, a few years ago they were a D3 team, and now they're the 2 seed. Right? That's crazy to think about how that works. But Angelo State is Angelo State, but I gotta stay true to what I believe, and I hope the D3 team turned D2 team ends up matching up with Colorado Mesa.
North Greenville at 1, Lander at 8, North Georgia at 4, and Francis Marion at 5.
Yeah, we know where I'm rolling with this one. North Greenville is going to the Supers.
The crazy thing is I believe I was talking to Coach Friday about this, but he was like, North Greenville just has mutants. And like, I wouldn't know that unless he told me that, but pretty cool to see. Catawba is on the other side of that bracket. Catawba is the 2, Belmont Abbey is the 7, Wingate's the 3, Young Harris is the 6. I'm taking Wingate.
I was going to say I'm taking Wingate too. Like the Seaver King is a big one for me because him going from Wingate to Wake and being drafted in the top 10 is just cool. But again, you played against them. I was hurt for that, but you played against them on live television and they've won a national title. Obviously, Catawba's very good, but Wingate has the history of winning at the highest level. So I'm going to roll with Wingate.
Last regional is the 1 seed is Cal State Monterey Bay. They got a cool logo. It's like an otter.
Yep.
Number 4 is Cal State San Marcos, and number 5 is Northwest Nazarene.
It's weird, a lot of schools I haven't heard of. Going to the next one, I've heard of Point Loma, but I haven't heard of many of these schools, which is cool for me to see because obviously they're very good baseball teams, but I got to shore up my D2 knowledge. But I'm going to roll with the Otters, if that is an otter, because that logo is just so cool and the colors pop. And you're the 1 seed, so it's hard to not
The other
roll.
side, like you were saying, is number 2 is Point Loma, 3 is Cal Poly Panoma, and 6 is CSU SB. I don't even know what school that is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of these schools are really interesting to me because obviously you got the big ones that are nationwide brands, but then you got some other ones that people are probably making fun of me in the comments for not knowing who they are. But Point Loma, right. I think, is probably the heavy favorite.
Just so we can revisit next week. In the first one, I have Westchester and Millersville, and that's the same for you.
Yep.
And then in the next one, we have Pittsburgh State and Central Missouri, Bentley SNU, and then we went was it GVSU we took?
Yeah, and then I took UIndy. You took Illinois
and I
Springfield.
took Illinois Springfield. I took Delta State. You took West Florida
Yep,
versus Tampa.
yep.
Colorado Mesa versus UT
I took
Tyler.
Tyler. You took
Yeah.
Angelo State.
North Greenville
Yep,
versus Wingate.
yep,
The Cool Otters of
y-
CSMB or
yep,
CSUMB, sorry,
yep,
versus Point Loma.
yep.
All right, we'll revisit that next week to see how he did. All right, heading on into the fun here. It's obviously D3 baseball. It feels like there's a billion teams, and a lot of these are very stacked. And it's cool to see how everything is very spread out and I wouldn't say even playing field, but I would say more even than Division II, right? Like Tampa doesn't have to play. What was that? West Florida
Yeah,
to go to a super.
yeah.
All right, first one is Denison, obviously, who's the 1 seed. It feels like they won 8 billion games this year. Grinnell.
38 in a row to people who are counting, or 39 in a row.
Is it Grinnell or Grinnell?
Grinnell.
Grinnell, Kalamazoo, and Cortland. I'm taking Denison.
A Denison, but I could see Cortland. Joe
Yeah,
Brown won a national
sneaky.
title. Sneaky. They play baseball the right way, and they're going to bunt the living heck out of you. So, and I'm pretty sure Denison's a turf field, so that neutralizes a little bit, but it's hard to take the team 40-1, who's on a 39 game win streak, to not win their regional.
Next side of that one is Aurora, Wash U, Piedmont, and Century. Is that how you say that one? I don't know a ton of these personally.
This is a fun one. I could see Piedmont easily taking. Aurora has been a 1 seed in the past, 2 seed in the past. WashU they just had Caleb Durbin. Century I'm not too familiar with, but I think this is going to be a fun regional. I'm taking Piedmont. They smash. So
I'm taking Wash U. Selling it. Wash U right away.
if you had,
I
how
don't
many
know
guesses?
anything.
If I give you 3 guesses, where do you think WashU is?
East Coast, West Coast.
Neither.
That's got to be in like the middle, like Idaho or something ridiculous,
St. Louis,
right?
Missouri.
Yeah. Okay.
I know where you're going with this one, but this one's going to be fun.
Is it Pfeiffer?
Yes.
So Pfeiffer, John Hopkins, Pomona Pitzer, Mary Washington. I really don't want to go against John Hopkins. I really want to take Pomona Pitzer.
I knew where you were going. Hats
I'm
off
taking
to the head coach taking over for Coach Babb to bring your team back to the regional first year after the legendary Coach Babb hanging up the cleats. But I'm going with Hopkins. If you know what it's like to play at Johns Hopkins, I don't, but it's really hard to win there, and they know how to play their place. So I'm going with Johns Hopkins. I could easily see Pomona taking it to both of them, ending up in the supers. So
I'm picking Hopkins, but I really don't want to, and I don't know why. I want to pick Pomona Pitzer.
You just love love their logo.
Mitchell, Tufts, Keene, and what is that? Claremont?
Claremont Mudscripts. They lead the country in homers.
Sounds like my type of team.
Yeah.
Picking that. I know nothing about them. I know about all the other 3 in there, and I'm taking them because of the homers.
Yeah, this regional is not fun for any team. Tufts is under Coach Stark. Great turnaround. They're phenomenal. Kane was in the World Series last year. They lost their pitcher of the year, Jason Gillum. That kid was lights out. Mitchell's Mitchell, right? They're in a regional again. It seems like every year they're in one. And Claremont Mudscripts. The one thing you do have to know is Claremont Mudscripts is in California. So they're coming from California to Boston. So it's going to be a little bit of a flight. So jet lag could play into a effect. But with us getting the rain here in Massachusetts, it could have an effect. Tufts is obviously turf, so everything's fine. But the game could be changed a little bit to not maybe who hits the most homers, but who puts the most balls in play, because the turf's going to be slick. So at least for tomorrow, meaning Friday, because it's supposed to be beautiful on the weekend, people could sneak across a few games. But I have Kane taking this one because they did it last year, and if anybody knows about their game style, they stick to their guns and they play small ball, they run, they bunt, they hit and run, and they make all the plays. So them playing on a turf field.
What is Claremont's logo? Is it a deer and a lady?
It's a deer, and it looks like a Trojan warrior.
Click on it to like look at.
But
Yeah, it is a Trojan Warrior. That's a
yeah,
pretty cool logo.
yeah. But I got Kane
I'm
because
taking Claremont,
yeah.
Homer Central. And we go into our favorite boys at Salve Regina, Marymount, which is Virginia, correct? DeSales and Ramapo.
So just to clarify, Salve is not hosting. So Salve cannot host a regional due to them not having lights. So they actually have to travel to DeSales, which is PA. So a little bit of a travel, but I think Salve gets it done. Sneaky Ramapo could come out with one because they are in the NJAC and that conference is really, really difficult. You'll see a lot of these teams spread out through these regionals. I'm putting the money on Salve, obviously. We got the personal connection there, but I think they're one of the best teams in the country and wouldn't be shocked if they're in the World Series.
Other side of that is Endicott, Husson, Montclair State, and Whitworth.
Whitworth, yep. Montclair State, another NJAC team. Another school, Endicott's not hosting, I believe. So Endicott's very, very good at home. Montclair State is hosting, so they're traveling, and Montclair State is very good at home as well. So it's going to be a tougher regional. I want to see for the baseball side of me and for New England, I want to see Endicott play Salve, but I would not be shocked if Montclair State pulled an upset because they're
I'm
very,
pulling
very talented, and they're another NJAC school.
I'm pulling Montclair there.
It's not a bad shout. They're very, very talented.
Next one is Russell Sage, Penn State, Harrisburg, Randolph. Sorry, the screen glitch, Macon, and then Trinity.
To be noteworthy there, Trinity, Connecticut got in as an at-large. It's the first time in a while that the NESCAC's had two teams in it, which is cool to see. So hats off to them for making it. This one's a hard one because you got Russell Sage. They got a very, very good record. They're just the team that kind of popped out of nowhere. Penn State Harrisburg's been in it. They've won their conference a lot the last few years. Trinity, Connecticut, very, very good school. Obviously has the national title they've won where they have the best record of the 45-1 that many moons ago. But Randolph Macon, very, very good team. This one is very much a toss-up for me. I'm going to roll with Penn State Harrisburg to pull an upset, but I could see anyone winning this regional.
I'm going with Coach Getty and Trinity.
Yeah. It's cool. Like I said, it's cool to see NESCAC get two at-larges, which doesn't happen all too often.
Next one is RIT of that bracket, right? Is RIT, Rowan, Babson, Southern Maine. I feel like this is a bloodbath for here.
Yeah. So we mentioned in the Division I, Scott Heath took over for the legendary Ed Flaherty, and what did he do? He's hosting a regional, right? Like to get the right coaches and the right programs and they do the right things, it ends up with success. So hats off to Southern Maine. They're hosting, but it's going to be really, really hard for me to pick against Rowan. Obviously, I have a history of playing against them and coaching against them. They're the same team that Kane is, another NJAC school. They pitch, they hit, they play defense, and they let you know about it. So I'm going to roll with Rowan, but again, they have to travel up to Maine. So it's a long travel for them, but again, I could see Babson. Babson plays the same way. It's funny because all of the teams, I'm not too familiar with RIT, but
All
the top
three of
three
those teams play the same way.
they play the same baseball. So what's the differentiator? I'm going with Rowan, but I wouldn't be shocked if anybody else wins this.
Taking Rowan.
Yeah.
My top right's not loading right now. I know that's Christopher Newport, Lynchburg. What is that? Penn State. What?
Boy, I've
Is
never
it
seen that.
Brehand? No, it's not Brehand, is it?
No,
Brehand?
it's a weird name, but I
Whatever
don't
it
know.
is. And then Maryville's Tennessee.
Yeah. Lynchburg, they won the World Series after we won it, and they're a very, very, very talented team, and they care about baseball. But Christopher Newport, very, very good team as well. But I think Lynchburg, they're probably hosting, and it's really hard to win down there. So I see them kind of steamrolling their way into the Supers.
I'm taking Lynchburg. The next one is East Texas Baptist, Concordia, Texas, Bellhaven, and Rhodes.
I got East Texas Baptist. I remember watching them beat Salisbury in the World Series, and they handled them twice. I think this was two or 3 years ago, but they are a very, very talented team, and they play in one of the harder conferences in the country, and they're battle tested. So I think Lynchburg, East Texas Baptist will be a very, very, very good super regional.
I'm taking Concordia. I know nothing about them either. I'm just taking them. Next one is Bridgewater, VA, Scranton, U Chicago, Wash, and Jeff.
This one's cool because Bridgewater kind of came out of nowhere, and U Chicago, very good school, obviously. Very, very, very good school. Had a good year this year. I don't know much about Scranton, but I coached against Washington Jefferson. They're going to be my pick here, but I think they'll shock a lot of teams, but I think this is a very well put together regional. I think a lot of teams complement each other well, so it's going to be some very, very good baseball.
Taking who? Wash, Jeff.
Yep.
I'm taking U Chicago. Next one is Salisbury, Bridgewater State, Mount Union, and Hobart.
If this was football, I'm taking Mount Union, if you know anything about Mount Union football, but good thing this is on a baseball diamond. And I feel bad for Bridgewater to have to go all the way down to Virginia because that's a hike and you have to play Salisbury, who's very, very good at home. So Hobart, obviously a very good school as well academically, but I think Salisbury kind of cleans house and goes back to another super.
Next one, I'm going to announce it, but it's Whitewater, McAllister, Bethany Lutheran, and Luther.
So it's funny. I only know Whitewater. The other three schools I'm not familiar with, and I
It
apologize for
wouldn't
that.
matter
But
who was in there. I was
yeah,
picking
I'm taking
Wisconsin.
Whitewater. It's kind of reigning national champs, and they are seems like it's becoming a very much a powerhouse over there.
Other side of that one is Wittenberg, Webster, Adrian, and DePaul.
Yeah, very
I think
very
he
good regional. I just looking at it face value. I'm not even sure who's the one seed in this one. Adrian, very good school. I'm pretty sure they were a one seed when we won the national title in 22. Webster, the same thing. We were supposed to play Webster in 22. The game got rained out, but they're a very, very historically good team. Haven't heard of DePaul, and I've heard
Adrian is 31 and 10. DePaul is 28 and 13. And then game Wittenberg is computer would load. Wittenberg is on 31 and 11, and Webster is 30 and 14. So I think that's almost like a bloodbath altogether.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good one. I've heard sparingly about Wittenberg, but I could see anyone winning. I'm going to roll with Webster just because of it, but I could see anyone winning this regional.
I know nothing about any of these teams. I'm going to take Wittenberg. Next one is what is this? I'm frozen here. It's Baldwin
Yep,
Wallace,
yep,
Wartburg.
yep.
What is that? Milliken?
Milliken, yeah, and then University of Washington lacrosse.
I know two of those teams.
Yeah, and I find that they're probably going to be playing to go to the super regional, but I'm going to roll with Baldwin Wallace. Ohio baseball has been very, very good over the past few years, and they are them and Denison. It seems like every single year they just roll into a regional and they get to a super. And Denison really hasn't had the luck to get to the World Series, but Baldwin Wallace has been there a couple of times. We played them in the opening round. Very, very talented team. I'm going to roll with Baldwin Wallace. I could easily see lacrosse winning it and playing for a spot in the World Series.
I'm taking Baldwin Wallace as well. And then the last part of that one and the last one here is Shenandoah, Farmingdale State, Transylvania, and Messiah.
Good for Messiah being back right after losing in the national title game. Good for them for being back. You could have the playoff blues and you could have had a bad season. So hats off to them for coming back. But Shenandoah is I never got to go down there, but one of the people I know ended up coaching down there, not at the school, but coaching against them. They got a phenomenal facility and they care a whole lot about baseball. So I'd love to see Shenandoah, but I could see Messiah running off again because they are just as talented. But I'm going to roll with Shenandoah.
I'm rolling with Shenandoah as well. And one thing I will say is it's cool to see Farmingdale State in there because I feel like they're on a little bit of a rise here. Because not that they were a no-name school, but like you saw just a lot of kids kind of from Long Island end up going there. I don't know if that's kind of how it is still, but like I don't know, they're doing something right now, so it's cool to see that.
The cool thing
All right.
I'll say before we end it off, it's like D3, you see a lot of cool regionals where there's a lot of coin flips and you're going to see a lot of good baseball. And there's going to be, if you're not familiar with the D3 game, there's a lot of schools that are like, well, Endicott's playing this school. They're just going to roll. Salve's playing this school. Denison's going to do that. You're going to see some schools beat some teams on opening day and you're going to be like, really? They beat them on the opening day of regionals? you're going to see a lot of upsets. It happens a lot. You might just think the best teams are the best teams, but a lot of these teams don't see each other. Like how we were talking about D2, where the week before the regional, you play the team in the conference. In this case, it's not the same. A lot of these schools have never played each other. So there's a lot of scouting that goes in. There's a lot of different coaching decisions that will go in, and you'll see usually what ends up happening is the coaches that know what they're doing end up finding a way to win. But there's a lot of teams that get smashed in the mouth on day one, and you're like, how did this happen? Because it happens all the time. So that's why I like D3 baseball, because it is such a bloodbath and anyone can beat anyone, and it's fun to see.
Well, I think the way you look at it, right? Division One, you have no idea where you're going, right? For a regional, you just don't know, right? You get the D2 and most D2 schools that continue to win, like we said with Bentley, right? The first time they won the NU10 and all those things. But like Central Missouri is always in it, Westchester's in it, Tampa's in it, Colorado Mesa, Angelo State. Like you can keep going, right? They're always in SNU, whoever you want to. But then you get to Division 3 and it's like, it's just the wild, wild west, right? Like you got Bridgewater State going to play Salisbury. Why? You have no idea
Claire,
why. I don't know why, right?
Claremont
And
Bud
then you
Scripps is coming to Tufts.
right, like, and then you got Southern Maine, Rowan, Babson, and RIT. We're all pretty centralized within each other, right? And then you got I don't know where Transylvania is, right?
It's Pennsylvania, I believe.
Okay,
But
where's
they're going to
Messiah?
Virginia.
Right, Shenandoah and Farmingdale State. And then you got Whitworth, Montclair State, Endicott, and Hudson. Endicott's probably the high seed right there, and they can't even host. Same thing with Salve. And then you go to like Denison, Cortland, Kalamazoo, and Grinnell, or is it Grinnell?
Grinnell.
Grinnell, sorry. And Pomona Pittsburgh, California?
Yes.
So they're going to John Hopkins.
Which is in the East Coast.
Correct. So I think D3 honestly makes their whole thing feel like a World Series though, which is the cooler thing of like, all right, we made a D3 postseason.
Yeah, and it's cool to see because they've gone through that change. Like I said, if you're not familiar, they've finally gone to the baseball is the RPI, but they call it the NPI. And you see teams get in now compared to when they used to not get in for regional rankings or national rankings because they play a tougher schedule. It used to be whoever had the most wins gets in, but now they take into effect on what schedule you play. So it's made D3 a better game because now you're seeing the bigger teams play the bigger teams because they know if they win, that's a big bump in their NPI. But if they lose, it's not going to hurt them. So it's cool to see that D3 is finally taking that route like the D1 has, and they care more about who you're playing instead of just who you're beating.
Quick speed run of who we took so we can remember for next week. We both took Denison, correct? You took Piedmont, I took WashU. Both took Hopkins. You took Kane?
Yep.
Kane, I took Claremont. Both took Salve. What did you take, Endicott or Montclair State?
I took Endicott. You took Montclair. Only because I want to see Salve play Endicott. I think
you took
awesome.
Russell Sage, and I took Trinity.
No, I took Penn State.
Penn State. Okay. Yep. And then we both took Rowan, correct? Lynchburg, we both took. I took Concordia. You took East Texas.
Yep.
I took U Chicago. Jeff. You took Wash Jeff. We both took Salisbury. We both took Whitewater. I took Wittenberg. You took
Webster.
Adrian? Oh, Webster.
Yep.
Baldwin Wallace and Shenandoah, right? All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode and tune in next week to see essentially where our picks are, and we'll kind of talk about that moving forward. A couple things to touch on before we end the pod here is now we'll get back into essentially bringing on more college coaches and guys in that realm. Now with their season ending, we never want to be a burden to them, so gave them their time during the season. Go ahead.
I will say I expect a lot of my picks to be wrong because that's just how it works. Because that's just how it works. And it's going to be awesome to see when we're doing one next week and the supers are all set and we're just like, wow, they made a run. Are we shocked? No, but did I have them winning? Nope. That's the awesome part about it.
Well, it's fun for me too because I don't do college basketball brackets. I can't stand those. So like this was fun to do. It'll be fun too when we can throw Division I in there and see like all right, this is a little bit different than we thought, and we can talk about who actually made it. All right, that's a wrap on episode 33.